Hi, I'm Molly. Welcome to Reads with Tea, my YouTube channel where I drink tea and read books and talk about them. So if you like tea and you like books, stick around and hopefully we'll have some fun. I am back on my porch and it is currently raining. The lovely dulcet rain sounds are brought to you by Hurricane Henri. I don't know why the hurricane is French, but I'm hoping that the sound doesn't get too messed up and then it just sounds nice and lovely because I personally love sitting on my porch and just reading and listening to the rain. So I'm hoping this is like a nice calming experience for everyone. And today we are going to be talking about The Duke and I, which is the first book in the Bridgerton series. Yay! So without further ado, let's get started. Cheers! Okay, so I'm just gonna give a little synopsis of how this video is going to work. I'm gonna start with a non-spoiler summary, then I'm gonna move into general thoughts that'll also be non-spoiler, and then we're gonna dive deeper into the actual plot of the book, things I liked, things I didn't like, and that will have spoilers, so I'll just give a warning before that section starts. So if you haven't read the book and you don't want any spoilers, you can, exit out, and if you've read the book and you want to keep watching, you can continue to do so. So let's begin. So our story begins in 1813, late April, with Daphne Bridgerton. Daphne is already in her second season and she's turned down 4 marriage proposals. So Daphne is determined to find a husband, or more accurately, her mother is determined to help her find a husband. At the same time, Simon Bassett, Duke of Hastings, comes into the picture, and immediately every eligible bachelorette and their conniving, tenacious mothers are entranced with him. They bombard him. Basically every eligible bachelorette immediately goes to Simon. It's like if Harry Styles walked into the room, you would just see everyone kind of flock to him. So Simon, this is not what Simon wants. Simon doesn't want to marry. So Simon meets Daphne and they form an alliance, or more accurately, they form a fake courtship. So if you like the fake dating trope, this is basically the historical fiction version of it. So Simon and Daphne decide that they are going to fake date, and Simon hopes that this will stop every eligible bachelorette and their mother from bombarding him wherever he goes, and Daphne hopes that this will get her own mother off her back, and she also hopes that, being associated with the Duke is going to elevate her status so that men will finally see her as a viable partner and more than just a friend. So obviously, as all fake dating tropes go, Daphne and Simon just have one rule: don't fall in love. So, we'll see how that goes for them, but that's a little summary of the book. I, like many others, was introduced to Bridgerton from the Netflix Original Series. Netflix Original Series. And I have to say, I think after reading this book, and this is the one that the first season's based off of, and so far it seems like they're going to do the seasons just in order of the books, which is excellent, love that. But so far it seems like it's a pretty good adaptation. Like, a lot of what happens in the book is in the TV show. There's like some slight differences. They give a lot of the side characters a little bit more backstory, which obviously I haven't read any of the other Bridgerton books yet. This is the first one. So I'm hoping that as I go along, some of what I've seen from the side characters is going to be in the separate books, and that's kind of their way of bringing it all together. But we'll find out. But yeah, if you've seen the TV show, then this book is going to be basically the same thing. Like, what's happening. And for me, that kind of made this a little less exciting to read, because I obviously, I knew what was going to happen, so there was less mystery, and you don't get that moment where you're reading at 2 a.m. and you have to keep going because you have to find out what happens. That really wasn't there for me. But nevertheless, I thought this was still a really lovely book, pretty quick read. I think I finished it in like a day or two. So yeah, really engaging, great characters, great plot, really cute relationship. It's like a historical fantasy rom-com. Not historical fantasy, historical fiction rom-com. Okay, so I feel like those are all my general thoughts. I think the only other thing to say is, if you've seen the show, then you know this. If you haven't, there is some spice. I would say 3 out of 5 chili peppers. I think the show is a little more spicy, steamy than the first book, just because it's a lot more visual, obviously. So some some of the more graphic scenes in the show were just alluded to in the book, as opposed to actually like explicitly stated, but there were still a fair amount of explicit scenes in this book. So that's just a warning if spice isn't your thing. Maybe this book isn't for you. If you want a lot of spice, this isn't like a 5 out of 5. Chili peppers? Chili peppers? Yeah, I wanted to say chili pepper flakes, I don't know why. But this is not a 5 out of 5 chili peppers. Solid 3 out of 5. I think it is. I don't know, some people might disagree with me. I don't know what everyone's spice scale is, but for me this is a 3 out of 5. Those are my general thoughts. I don't think I can say a lot more without giving away spoilers, and I also feel like it's hard to say a lot about this because I think the show is so popular, so a lot of people already know what's going to happen. So we're just going to get into some specifics, what I liked, what I didn't like, etc. Okay, so first, things that I loved about this book, I absolutely adored Simon and Daphne's dialogue. I think it was just immaculate, like, perfect amount of back and forth and banter, along with, like, such sweet, cute, like, moments between them. Really amazing. I also really loved seeing Daphne's relationship with her family, and then Simon's relationship with Daphne's family. I think you get a little more of that in the book, especially Simon interacting with Daphne's younger siblings. There's a lot more of that in the book as well, which I liked. And then obviously you also like Simon and Anthony and their kind of like frenemy situation, I guess. Also very funny. So really just enjoyable. It was very enjoyably written, if that makes sense. I think that they had the perfect amount of, like, I think Julia Quinn includes really fast moving, like fast paced dialogue, so you can get through it really quickly. But then you also still get like the character emotion by just their thoughts and the things that they do. And it really does tug at your heartstrings, so it's really beautiful. And I like the complexity of the characters too. I think mostly Simon, like his whole backstory of him having the stutter and like everything that he's going through with his dad, and then the reader knowing that, and then Daphne not knowing that too, is a really interesting kind of dynamic. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I think as far as side characters go, I think there were more side characters in the TV show. So if you've seen the TV show, then you know like Penelope, Eloise, and they were mentioned in this book, but like I don't think Eloise even had any dialogue. Benedict was like kind of there, like the 3 older brothers, so Anthony, Benedict, Colin were probably mentioned the most out of all of Daphne's siblings. Yeah, I think Anthony probably the most, Colin probably second. Colin's actually really funny in this book too, which I didn't think he was as funny in the show, so I'm excited to read his book, and then also to see what they do in the future seasons of the show too. But yeah, that's why I'm also really excited just to read the rest of the books and read like Eloise's story, and to see how like Penelope plays in, and all the characters who they kind of added in the show, and to see how well they did of adding those characters in, because obviously just reading the first book I don't know yet, and I'm going to have to wait to see how it goes along. But I do like that I really do love the family dynamic. I think it's so great, and I think the other thing that's great about Simon and Daphne is you do get like both sides of the coin, and you have someone who is really family oriented and adores their family, and then you have someone who's never had that and has an obviously like poor relationship with his father and doesn't have a mother. And yeah, I think that having them together is really cute, because Simon kind of gets to see like how life could be. It's really nice. I enjoy it a lot. Okay, so then kind of moving on, the one thing that I really hated in this book, which completely like knocked it down a star, like possibly even more than that, and also a trigger warning for sexual assault, domestic violence, kind of that stuff, I guess. Maybe not so, like less domestic violence, more like sexual assault and consent. And they included this in the show too, so if you've seen the show, this was in it. But this scene where, so Daphne obviously finds out that Simon can have children, he just doesn't want to, which is also like, should he have told her that he couldn't have children, that just like instead of that he didn't want them, like he probably just should have told her the truth and been like, I don't want kids, because I think that that's also fair, you know. And that if someone doesn't want kids, obviously we can't force them to have kids. So the scene where Simon came back drunk, and he was like wildly drunk and obviously couldn't give consent, and then Daphne like having it so that he couldn't pull out, which again, pulling out is not an effective method of birth control anyways, but just Daphne knowing that he didn't want kids and trying to make him have kids really just did not sit well with me and made me feel really uncomfortable. And I know that it was a major plot point because it kind of forced Simon and Daphne to talk through their problems. Well, actually Simon ran away first, but then after that it forced them to talk through their problems. But I wish that Julia Quinn had done that in a different way that didn't make me feel as uncomfortable and as like sick about it, because it really seems wrong. I think it seems wrong in any era, but especially in like the era of Me Too and being so vocal about consent. I think that was just not a great scene. But yeah, so I'm hoping that the future books don't really have a lot of that. Yeah, and then obviously also like because it's historical fiction, women were not treated as well. So there's the whole thing where it's like it kind of examines a woman's place in society because, you know, if you kissed a man, you were ruined, which is so annoying because you have like Simon and Anthony who are known as like rakes, and they can just go out and do whatever, and no one is like, your reputation is ruined. But if a woman even like kisses a man and is caught kissing a man, then her reputation's ruined, and it just bothers me. But I guess it was like that's realistic of what it was during the time period, but as a modern 21st century woman, some of that was just annoying to me to read, but it's fine. And I get like that kind of thing is necessary when you're writing a historical fiction. This book also, well, one of the things that I liked about this book, that I like about most historical fiction books, I just really want to go to a ball. Like, I just want to wear a fancy dress and dance, and it's such a shame that we can't do that anymore. Although, so my friend who suggested that I read the books, her name's Emmy, shout out to Emmy, but me and Emmy are trying to plan to go to Vienna in 2022 in November, because apparently they have a Vienna ball season. So if anyone knows anything about that and can give me some tips or knows about any ball seasons that happen in the United States, I would love to hear about it. Honestly, I just really want to go to a ball. Yeah, I also almost signed up for, apparently they're making like a Pride and Prejudice kind of themed dating show, and I also almost signed up to for that because I was like, I bet that you get to dress like old-fashioned and go to a ball. That sounds so cool to me. But then I didn't, because they were like, why are you ready for a serious commitment? And I was like, haha, I'm not. Anyways, very off topic, but to conclude, I really love this book. I recommend it, 4 out of 5 stars for sure. And if you really enjoyed the TV show, I think that you should read this as well. And I can't wait to start the next books because my friend tells me that they get me even better. So I'm hoping to make, obviously, a video for each book that I read. So I'm going to try and rate them so we can have like a fun sibling rivalry and see if any of the books beat out Daphne's. Because obviously, this being the first book, it is in position number 1. So rating of the Bridgerton books is currently The Duke and I, number 1. And, you know, that'll hopefully change as I read more books. But yeah, I think that's it. So thank you for staying with me for this random, combobulated rant about The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. Cheers.